Kaloyirou. There's a close. It was very
Kaloyirou.
close. Just missed the Yi.
Okay, Yi.
Hey, you got it.
Yi. All right. Woo! All
Fucking
right, well,
butchered
we're gonna
it
screw it
so
up.
hard.
All right, yeah. Welcome to 2022, where nobody can take a fucking joke. This week, all the way from Australia, we flew him in first class, fresh off his top 4 Australian national performance. Harry, I can't even say his name. Harry Kaloyirou. I have to really pronounce it. This
Still fucked
week
it up.
on Outcast Haven Podcast.
I thought it was going to be the last name you struggled with.
No, I couldn't even get the Harry. I mean,
He was so focused on the last name. So focused on the last name. He just butchered the first name.
Look, I've had much worse, so it's not the worst I've had. You did well.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Top
Thanks
4.
so much for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I have a little story, just a quick thing to say here before we start. So, I'm trying to think of, when did we meet, Harry? Yeah, I'm just gonna go back and find the date.
I don't think we played each other until probably winter.
On demand.
We played
All
a
right.
blitz though. That's how we met.
Carol, that's Carol and Kieran, isn't it? That was in that. Okay, I got it. All right. So Harry, we met, I have the date right here, August 16th of 2020. So a year and a half ago, it was my first online on-demand tournament for Flesh and Blood. I was pretty green. And this is what I got for my lineup of people I had to face. Carol from New Zealand. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name from Session Blood, right? Then I had Toby Firth, who very good friend of yours.
Great guy.
Then I had Cale McCreath in my round 3, Cale McCreath, followed by our guest, top 4 Australian national, Harry. So that was my first experience, and I got destroyed. I mean, I've told that story 100 times, but that's when we met Harry. We started an Australian America chat, and Toby, you, Dave, Lee, the 3 of us, and we just hammer back and forth on each other. And it's a great time. So thank you for coming on.
I love the slight shade thrown at Toby. I approve. Toby, you said you're like Toby, very good friend of Harry. Like it sounded like you were gonna say very good player.
Friend of Harry.
Player cutout. It sounded like you were just like very good friend.
I heard player. Toby is a very good player, even though he's from England.
Even though he's from England.
Yeah. We'll let that slide. He's played in Australia long enough that he's like kind of shucked away all those UK tendencies, right? Like,
you know what?
Pretty sure we've adopted him.
There's 2 things that I can. 3 things, because we got the Arsenal Pass guys, but Arsenal Pass, Toby Firth, and panel shows are the only things from England that I'm a fan of. Do they do panel shows like Australian shit too?
you mean Push the Point?
Do that at all? Or Push the Point? Sorry, not Arsenal.
Yeah,
Pass.
I was like, where Arsenal Pass is not from?
Oh, right. What are panel things? What are you doing them? Maybe we do. I don't know what they are.
Oh, they're like talk shows. Well, not talk shows. They're like game shows, kind of, where they just have celebrities on, like comedian. A lot of times it's comedians.
I think that's an England thing.
I don't watch enough like everyday TV to know. So I don't know. Maybe
when we have Toby on, you can ask him that.
Yeah, he'd be an expert.
Yeah. So Harry, how many rounds of Swiss? So and give me the breakdown, CC versus draft that you had.
Yeah, so day 1 was 9 rounds. We went 3cc, 3 draft, 3cc. And then day 2 was 3 draft into top 8 being CC.
Okay, and what was your record going into top 8?
Into top 8, I was 8-4.
Okay. And just so for people who don't know, and like me, how many people did you have competing at your nationals?
I think it was 65 overall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think it was meant to be like a 96, but obviously because of COVID, I think a bunch of people didn't rock up.
Yeah.
Where did they hold it? What city were you guys in?
We were in Sydney at it was run by RC Crew Games, which, by the way, massive shout out to them. They did an amazing job, as well as all the judges. The judges were legitimately phenomenal, and for the time taken over the 2 days just to be there and run every time someone else judge, it was really well appreciated. Super professional too. It was awesome.
Now, if they could have worked that into the stream so we could have seen the cards and maybe heard sound. I tried watching it. I didn't hear anything. Thought it was going deaf. There was no sound or anything.
Yeah.
But at least we got to see some card play versus not
Yeah.
see it. What was your hardest or what was your bad matchup? Because you played Briar, correct?
Yeah.
So
That's correct.
what matchup were you trying not to see or were you trying to avoid that felt bad for you?
Oldham, obviously.
Yeah.
There's a couple ways to like manage Oldham, but not very good ones. Ice Lexi, although more manageable than Oldham, because if you get enough of a control of the tempo, you can maintain enough aggro where they end up taking too much damage. But obviously, you're going to take some frostbites, and you got to make sure that you've at least got enough blues, and hopefully you draw enough blues to be able to respond acceptably and not get locked out. Those were the main two. Obviously, otherwise, all the good players that I knew were there. I didn't dodge that many, but there were a lot of obviously really great players. So it became one of those things where, and I think it speaks to the meta at that level of play. The current meta feels a little coin flippy at times.
Yeah.
So it's who gets the better draws straight up. And I mean, not to minimize Hayden's win or anything because he played it immaculately, but in top four, it definitely felt like that. Even though I got him down to like 17, his first like 3 or 4 turns were like dream Viserai, I'm making rune chants turns. Like turn 1, he had like Mordred tied into a red read the runes and then passed to me, and I'm like,
Seems good.
it's that game? Cool. No worries.
Yeah.
But you said
It
that you played more earth focused one, because I think we were talking about that.
Yeah.
And that makes a big difference too, I think, in
Mount Heroic.
how you play different matchups for sure
Yeah, for
compared
sure.
to like just playing because obviously for you guys and usually people could still play the red line. So having like that earth focus, when we played at nationals, actually was more bothered by the earth ones because like maybe the turns are a little different because every turn isn't 4-4-4 or 7-4-4, but the turns that you have sometimes are just so disgusting with
Yeah.
Mount Heroic out and stuff that it makes it worth having a turn where you go, this turn's not going to be much, but I can manage it into those just massively powerful heroic turns.
Well, in the Bravo matchup that I had in round 9, I was pretty ahead on life, and I took a 13 damage. I think it wasn't crippling. It was the one that gets rid of your arsenal. The one that gets rid of your arsenal. Yeah, disable into pummel, red pummel. I took the 13. I discarded a card, and then I just pitched a yellow and a red Mount Heroic for a Mount Heroic and passed, and then won.
Wow.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah. So yeah, look, I think the Earthbriar I feel is an overall better deck. It's got moments where if it does clump, then you get in quite a bit of trouble. But overall, like the great turns are just so much better than the bad turns. So you can make up on turns like that unless they get too far ahead.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I was just curious, like, what your because you drafted as well, right? So you had so how did that go for you? So you went CC draft CC day 1. How did your first CC end up going? Because you went into top 8 day 2, only having 4 losses. So where did your losses come? Was it primarily in draft? Was it CC bad matchups?
I only had 2 losses day 1.
Day 1, 2 losses.
I went 8-4 overall before top 8, but I only had 2 losses day 1. So I went in on a 7-2 for day 2. My 2 losses was, and this was the worst, right? Round 1 loss.
Oh,
And I'm like,
Oh.
it's an uphill battle from here, boys.
It's that kind of day.
Yeah. So round 1, I faced the Mirror, which was another Earthbriar, and he just got the nuts, and he was like, 7-7-7-7 Mount Heroic 7-7-7. I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do here. I'm just gonna die. That's what I'm gonna do. So that was unfortunate. And then my only other loss on the day was in round 6, which was during draft.
Yeah.
Final round of draft. It was the mirror match. I drafted Briar, and both decks were really great. I was super scared actually of that draft because up until pack 3, I had 1 Earth card in my deck, and I had like 4 Bramble Sparks. And then at the beginning of pack 3, I just get 4 Earth cards passed to me because the guy next to me was the Briar that ended up beating me. He went 3-0. But he'd switched to Lightning. Yeah. So in the last pack,
sure, yeah.
I just got early Earth, and I'm like, oh my god, thank God the decks come together.
Hold out, baby, till that pack reverse.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Don't even get me started about what happened in the second set of drafting on day 2.
No, we're gonna get you started right now. What happened?
we were in the top 8 table.
Yeah.
And 5 of the 8 drafted Briar.
That's like our draft.
Yeah.
So everyone is just like getting the dregs of whatever's coming from Briar. And then in pack 3, my only saving grace, because my deck was so mediocre, it's where my other 2 losses came from. I went like 1-2, but luckily the 1 was enough to get me into top 8. The only saving grace was pack 3, pick 1 was Shock Charmers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you only lost
that seems okay.
You lost 1 CC the whole time until top 8.
Correct. Yeah.
So
which was round 1.
Right. So you lost round 1 and you lost the semifinals to the winner.
Yeah, that's correct.
That's a pretty good weekend.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Good weekend.
I am not angry in any way, shape, or form. You're gonna hate to hear when like literally 2 nights before I was like, I think I'm gonna play Chain. And then that night we did some testing, and I'm like, I'm not feeling Chain. I don't know, what should I switch to? I'll just play Earthbriar.
So what was your gold card that you received?
So I was quite lucky and got a gold foil Mask of Momentum.
Foil
God,
Mask
that's
of
so
Momentum.
hot.
It's very pretty.
And you were telling us before that it's like everything looks good on it too, right? Like corners, centering.
Yeah. I think the only thing is on the back. I think the border is just shifted down a touch. It's not like a perfect center, but the front it looks like a pretty good print. So I'm excited to get it.
So I got to ask you a question and rip on one of our buddies at the same time.
Hit me.
So Nick did not make top 8, correct?
Yeah.
So do you think
he was my last round. I knocked him out.
Oh. So here's my question. Do you think he did it strategically because he's like, I can't be on the top 8 tables showing all my Fab School stuff. I need to be bringing in the money. I can't be giving it away for free on the stream.
That's giving it away for free at that point.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I think him and Matt were like, we can't win this. We just, you know what I mean?
Look,
we just
so basically
stay humble.
What we're asking, Harry, is how does it feel to have a game given to you? So Nick obviously gave you yeah.
You're not even going to give it to me. Wow.
He threw that game so that
he definitely must have. Look, Nick's a great player. He definitely made me work for getting that last game off him.
That was that's a tough matchup because he was on Oldham, correct?
No, he was Briar. He was one of the 5 Briars in the. So this was in draft.
Lied to me.
Oh, draft.
This was in draft, not in CC.
Oh, in draft.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm like, wait, I asked him. He told me he was Oldham. Why? How did he lie to me?
He was Oldham, and I think he played really well throughout the both days.
Well, yeah, because I saw he was right there in top 8. So then when I saw the final top 8, I was shocked he was out. And I'm like, now I'm gonna have to give him shit for this. The whole Fab school, I can't let it slide. I don't know what to do. He predicted the win like 2 weeks earlier. I can't let that go. And he
Fair
will
enough.
he'll throw it right back at me just as much as I give it to him. So that's why I like giving him shit.
Mhm.
He knows what a joke is. Unlike
Yeah.
so like
Unlike
I
the
got a
goddamn
question
community.
for you, Harry. Yeah, I got a question for you, Harry. Maybe it's I don't know if these were I actually don't know what country they are because we're all from over the world. So you saw the new Prism card came out, right? Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing card.
I'm gonna say, sorry.
You're good.
Good.
So I just wrote and tell me if what you think I meant by this. I said,
Hmm.
as a Bravo player, I hate this card, comma, please ban. So do you think that's me being absolutely serious, or could that possibly be a joke?
I mean, I'm pretty sure it was a joke because I said something very similarly.
Yeah, but I get like people just start riding me like, but Prism and Bravo can do this. It's like, I'm gonna tell everybody something right now. You can, I can, the game can make a card that is good for the game and is a good card, and I can hate the card, and that's okay. There's not a mutual exclusive thing between like it's a bad card, I hate it, it's a good card, I love it. It can be a great card, good for the game, and I still hate the card. That's
Well,
okay.
it's the same thing
You
with
know-
like Mount Heroic, right?
Yeah.
Everyone hates
Yeah.
Mount Heroic when they see it drop.
Yep.
Does it make it a bad card?
No.
Or like a card that needs to be banned? I don't think so. I think there's ways to play around it.
Yep.
Like if you hold up enough pressure to be able to like follow up with that, then they're either going to take a massive hit and you make them pay for it,
Mhm.
or they block up and then they're not hitting you as hard back. And I mean, of course, against certain matchups, there's not much you can do about it because you're too slow or something like that. But I mean, that's how a meta gets defined. Look, I think the new Prism card is awesome. Its art is phenomenal. Oh my god, I
I
love the
fucking
Prism
love
art.
Prism art. I'm so
Oh my
excited.
god, it's so
I'm gonna-
gorgeous.
I'm gonna put the new Prism cards in my art on my wall next to my Aura art. I'm pumped.
Yeah, awesome. So, do I hate it as a person? Because I mean, I played Bravo during the Pro Quests, and the only real decks that I lost to were Prism. You can't beat Prism, but that's part of how the meta works. I mean, it's a hard counter, and I think this might be a little shift now. I mean, obviously, Guardian's getting a lot of love, and the new Bravo is I think it's got a lot of really interesting lines of play. Obviously, with such a huge card pool open
Well,
to
its
it.
card pool just got fucking tripled. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
God damn.
And I'm pretty sure we know that well, it's been hinted to what one of the legendaries is
Yeah.
at least thematically. So Guardian's likely getting another legendary. So I mean, let's see what it all leads to.
Mm.
The funny thing is people's reactions on cards when they first come out are absolutely horrid. Like it is so the card is trash, the card is great. It is really, really, really bad. Like the ninja card, I think that came out, the finisher, that's an amazing ninja card. I mean, that gives ninja a true finishing card.
Replacing Flood of Force. You mean?
Yeah,
the
it's
Flood of
great.
Force,
Yeah.
It's a great card. Once again, I hate the card because I fucking hate ninjas, but it's a great card and it's good for the game because it brings ninja up to hopefully brings it up tier and brings all these decks really, really close again.
Yeah, absolutely. Personally, I can't wait to try 100 wins
Yeah,
ninja
that new
because
line,
I mean that
yeah.
looks fun. That just looks super fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll be like meta breaking or anything like that,
Mhm.
but it looks super fun and I'm excited to try it.
Yeah, I mean, and just that line with the new Benji specialization is the only reason I can think of to run the new mask, just to be able to call
Right.
Benji
Oh my
specialization on
God.
call. But like that's gonna
Yep.
be super silly. That's what I'm gonna make for Blitz because it's fucking jank. I think
Yeah,
I still don't think that mask actually replaces momentum, but
Never.
Nah, no. Well, in 100 wins
Momentum.
too, where you're more likely to get the triple. Like you want to draw.
Right, you're gonna get the triple. You're gonna get the card draw. Benji can almost guarantee the card draw for the most part
Yeah,
because he
exactly.
can go unblockable. So you're gonna get that benefit and get to block with it late game versus like one or the other, which is kind of shitty.
Yeah.
So before I ask another question on nationals, because I like to flip back and forth with these amazing segues that we have.
Stop pointing it out. Okay, all right, continue.
So with the potions that have come out, they're kind of all over the board. But now with Ninja getting another line in the way Katsu's ability is triggered by being able to go hunt and with mask draw, I feel like possibly looking at your opponent's hand and having that potion becomes a sideboard in a lot of decks because having that knowledge of what Katsu has makes a huge difference in the game, especially late game. So if you get it out there early, you can leave it to a point where I might die if I don't block this perfect, but now I know what they have.
Potentially. I think Katsu is one of the most telegraphed decks in the game. And I got to give a huge shout out to David Spencer for all the games we had back in like Welcome to Rathe and Arcane Rising of Katsu, because it definitely helped me win one of my matchups. Because at Nats, I was playing against a classic Katsu, and he went on the Lord of Wind combo. And when he went for Whelming Gust Wave, it was red, and it's gone to 4, and he's got no resources up. He's got 1 card in Arsenal, and I'm like, that's an Ancestral Empowerment. I'm
Right.
pretty sure that's an Ancestral Empowerment.
Blocking 5.
So I blocked 5, and because I blocked 5, he's like, yeah, pass. And I was like, cool. And then later on, he's like, yeah, really great call on the Ancestral Empowerment, because that's what it was.
Yeah.
So I think if you read the board well enough against Katsu, you're generally able to define what they're trying to do on that turn. Late game, I can maybe see a one-off being a thing, because obviously when it comes down to like really low life totals, having that opportunity to really know what you're blocking out on the next turn. But then again, you've always got the Arsenal problem, because you've seen hand.
Right.
You don't
But
know
at
what's in the
least you get what resources are and you can do the math down. So there's and you
yeah,
always got to assume that the ancestral empowerment is in the arsenal. So that's always assumed.
Yeah, I think the issue with the potions until we have a better means of playing them is that the payoff has to be huge for a lot of the potions for the deck, because even you look at something like Energy Pot or Time Snap, that's really good in a lot of decks, and a lot of decks would love to have those 2 resources on certain turns, or the Time Snap. Typically the only decks that play those cards are decks that use them in a way that almost gives them like an OTK power, where they can like spike somebody from the mid to high teens, because you see like brutes running potions. Well, they have a means to, get like
Capitalize
play
on
the
that
Time
really
Snap.
hard.
Yeah, they can get extra actions, so they can skirt around it. Kano playing Energy Pot. Chain early game seeing Time Snap is just bonkers, because early game it's fine. If it gets banished, who cares? It probably makes your banish numbers a little more consistent. And it's those like decks like that aren't, necessarily like punished for those cards, are the only decks that are willing to take the chance that you draw them at the worst possible time. Because like, look at your hand, or shuffle your hand like a Hope Merchant's Hood. In some decks, you're like, oh, that would be great. You're like, right. But at what point in the game do you have to see that in your hand to capitalize? And at what point is it absolutely catastrophic? Because,
there was a period with Hope's Merchant Hood where I was going to run it instead of Arcanite in Briar, because the worst thing that can happen is you take a turn where you drop a Mount Heroic and you take a hit, and then you draw 4 non-attacks, or 1 non-attack, or 3 non-attacks, or whatever, and then you can like Merchant's Hood, and then at least try and get more attacks in. It just makes the turn, because if you're not pressuring on that turn, then you've wasted one of your key win. Yeah, but we ended up getting it consistent enough where it wasn't really needed, and the armor was more important in like certain math out blocks, especially early game where you're trying to get ahead, because I found that if you get ahead early with Briar, you're likely going to win. So yeah, obviously it depends on the matchup as well.
So that's perfect, because my next question is, if you would have got the ban or the errata, would you have kept with Briar, or would you have then stayed with Chain? Because Mount Heroic Briar is very good, and we know that, and it can still perform while pulling out plunders and not making a million embodiments of Earth. So would you have swayed, or do you think you would have stayed on Briar and just pulled the cards and added some nimblisms or whatever else you throw in there?
Yeah, great question. So I probably would have stayed. The reason is I think the nerf on the embodiments isn't, in my opinion, as big a deal in CC as it is in limited. In limited, being able to get 2 or 3 because of the lack of arcane resist, and then blocking for 1 going into a pretty decent turn, like that's a huge deal.
Right.
And it's one of the big reasons why you go for Briar in those drafts. In CC, I mean, obviously the bigger blocks are great, but a lot of the time you're just taking the hit because your hit's going to be way bigger anyway. So I mean, if you swap the plunder runs with nimblisms, and you swap the ball lightning with I mean, potentially things like oh god, what's it called? There's a 1 cost, it swings for 4 and it gets go again if you've played it on attack.
Oh,
Nimble
It's from
no. It's
not
it's-
Nimble Sword.
yeah, nobody remembers it, but it's actually not bad in Briar.
It's like the
Plenty?
guy like
Oh,
The Promise of
fucking-
Plenty?
No.
No.
That's Spanish Zone.
It's the guy's like
anyway,
kneeling or
Vigor Rush.
Vigor Rush.
Yeah.
I was like the lady with the knives. Like
Yeah.
Super
So
Saiyan.
I think Vigor Rush can replace 3 of the ball lightnings. Obviously, it's not as good, but it's that same go again effect. And you could swap, if you run the yellow ones, you could probably swap them out for maybe like overloads or arcanic crackles. One of those 2. I mean, it wouldn't be as consistent in getting the
Overload's
go.
not a horrible card, especially if you're pre-buffing it with stuff.
Well, I mean, Mount Heroic turn with it, 6 dominate if it hits go again.
Yeah.
Solid.
That's a good card. Yeah.
Yeah. Not to mention it's dominated, so if you also start out with a force of nature, then you're drawing on it as well. Like it's got a place.
Yeah, right. There's other cards to replace the ones that got banned for sure.
Yeah, so Matthew Clark, who was one of the top 8s, he and I ran a very similar list, and you'll see that he ran overloads. I didn't, because I had exudes in instead, because I liked it more for like the defensive matchups. But I mean, both are totally valid cards. Like you could easily swap them both in, and you'd end up running both when these things go out. I think it's still a super viable deck. Post, because of you've just got to be smarter in how you block on those key turns. But I think plunder runs like a huge loss from the draw. But
I love that card. I loved the card.
Yeah.
And I liked it in Bolton. I liked it in other decks, but
Yeah.
So before we move on
That's
to
the one play
spoilers,
set I bought alpha foil. Like I was like, I want plunder runs in foil. Like from
I have them too. I bought like 10 of them, so because they're in every deck. It was great. Before we move on, when do your pro quests start? And as we move into talk about spoilers, what hero are you most excited to build at the end of week 1 of Everfest Spoilers?
So I think our pro tour starts in like March or April. I haven't really looked, but I know that one of the pro quests is already up. So I think it's soon. It's like March or yeah. And then hero wise, I mean, I just want to see what I can do with the new Bravo. I think things like flashes into tomes that heal you and draw, and then go into like big swings on the turn seems pretty good from a sustainability perspective, just off the cuff. I think he can do some crazy stuff with Oak and Old as well, and the fact that he gets to run all 3 pulses is ridiculous.
Silly.
I mean, well, think about it, right? Like for his ability to activate, you just need a pulse and whatever else you don't have in that pulse, and then all of a sudden you're good to go. I think I'd be interested to see if things like Flash Freeze become viable now, because +3 for whenever you hit, plus what's the other effect? Is it Frostbite? No, it's something else. Whatever.
Oh, it's a
like
go again, right?
is
Flash
it? Yeah.
freeze. Flash
no.
freeze is if Flash freeze was fused with an ice card attacks you control. Gain when you attack with this, it gains dominate unless a defending hero pays 2 resources.
Yeah.
If it was fused with lightning cards, if it hits a hero, deal 3 damage to them.
Yeah. So then all of a sudden, all your Guardian attacks have dominate. Seems good. And the fact that you're going to be able to like set up go agains of Guardian attacks, like I think you could create a pretty beastly build with him, with some okay defenses on like key turns, have Pulse of Eisenloft to then buff all the rest of your cards and block out, and then go back into a normal turn. Not to mention all the like new stuff that effectively gives him
Chess
extra
piece to
surges.
draw to make seismic surges like they're going out of style. It's the decks. The cool thing I like about the new Bravo is all 4 of us could go make a Bravo deck, and they're going to be completely different and might have a different strategy involved. You might have an aggro, you might have a control, you might have a mid-range, and then you might just have a horribly built deck. So that's,
Dude, I'm going aggro. Flash into a freaking Showtime. Search for any Guardian card, and then on the next turn draw a card and have go again to then swing into whatever you want. What the hell? Flash into Showtime is gonna be gross. Flash into like Stamp Authority.
Stamp Authority, I mean, but here's the problem: is there's so many good cards. How can they just extend the deck list to 90? Because there's so many cards. I don't even know how you're gonna fit them all in.
Imagine having a turn where you're like, okay, cool, Flash, Showtime, into Stamp Authority. Now I draw 5, and then at the beginning of my next turn, I draw another 1. I have 6 cards plus 1 in Arsenal.
And you make all the seismic surge every time you draw. Every time you draw, you're making the seismic surge. It's fucking insane.
Yeah. Like what? What? That card where it's like, if you, when attack react, if this hits, banish a card and you can play it. Like, if I've gone into a turn where I've got 6 cards, I can play 2 cards. I can pitch, swing for 6, and still banish to like go again to get that ability. Like, it's disgusting. Not to mention, you can go, I've got 6. All right, I pitch, play this attack, and then pop it, pitch, pummel, draw, banish. Like, it's gross. There are so many interesting lines that you can do with him that like,
channel Thunder Steep.
All of a sudden, everything's got go again. Like, holy crap!
You just you basically, like, Thunderstep gives you the Mage Master's effect on a card that you can put in play if you arsenal a tome. You can just be like, I just play this Thunderstep, swing my hammer. Like, the setup turns are going to be into some really insane turns where you're just like, oh yeah, I basically have Mage Master's boots on a stick
Blink
now.
Blink is blue, like, so it's just like, okay,
Blink is
Blink is so good, and it's the thing that's gonna let him manage Prism, because you go swing into thing, blink, swing in. Like,
I ordered 3 shiny blinks before we started the podcast.
I have 3 shiny.
Yeah, I didn't have them. I had to order 3 Toma Harvest and 3 blinks and shine. Like, I'm like, I better get them now because they're going to be in the deck regardless. So I'm ordering them.
I think the interesting thing about this set is that, like, with Bravo, as much as he feels like at first glance a power creep, because I think people's initial reaction is you read the card and you're just like, oh, he gets to do all of it all the time. Everything exists. It's crazy. But it's like Bravo is in a lot of ways like a lot of the cards in the set, they feels more like lateral power creep, where it's like it's making another really strong thing that exists, but it doesn't necessarily just go, this is tier 0. If you play it,
Well,
you win, or if you play it, you lose. Because
It's
what
the
he
whole-
does, you know,
It's the whole expanding lateral fallacy where it's like he gets all these tools. It's like, yes, but he does not get all of the tools at once. You need to make a single deck.
yeah,
Like
Yeah.
it's just because he's like, yes, if he had access to all of these things everyone's talking about, that would be crazy. But he doesn't, because that would be
Yeah.
inconsistent if he tried to put all of that into the deck. I think it's gonna be very strong. He's got tons of options. And it is
Yeah.
he is gonna be able to have a lot of tools, but like you can't build it so that what Harry's talking about is consistent while also what Blake is talking about is also consistent. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're not going to get that. You're going to get
Yeah,
a
I
lot
think-
of stuff, and decks are going to be, I think the strength of it is that you're going to sit down and it's going to be like the very beginning of Briar, where you don't know what you're sitting down against. You see Briar get flipped and you're like, okay, this is like week 1 of this set being out. What fucking Briar am I going to see? And it's going to be like that, but to the extreme, because I think there's going to be multiple viable options for what you're
Yeah.
running into. So
I think heavy lightning Bravo is going to
Bravo.
be pretty good.
Yeah.
I think
absolutely.
I think realistically his biggest strength comes in the fact that in a lot of metas, certain heroes feel kind of like they get chased off. You know, like certain
Mhm.
metas determine that certain decks are just bad because you know it's like, oh, Cheerios Briar was running amok during national season. Well, Prism players weren't exactly lining up at the gate, you know, excited to play in that meta. It was most of the time they were just like, yeah, no, I lose. Like I just lose this matchup pretty much every time. I can't win it. And it chased them off. When Chain was running seeds, there were a lot of decks that felt like there was just nothing they could do about it. But I think the thing with Bravo is he doesn't inherently chase decks off. He actually is in a place where now he becomes more viable in a wider field because he has different variants. So if the meta determines that lightning is the best, he plays lightning. But if there's a version of the meta where it goes, man, if you just play Ice Bravo, that's the best version. You just go heavy ice with a little bit of other things, then you're able to do it. And that's really where the card shines, is the fact that he immediately becomes the most flexible hero in Fab because, like, you know, all the Rune Blades have proven, having a big card pool is very good for a hero. Like little did people who played card games their whole life know that the bigger the card pool, the better the deck, because when you can play more of a good card deck, you get good decks because you have the best cards in the game. You know, when you get to line up and go, what do I need? You know,
Could you imagine doing like double crush turns? Because it's viable now. Like you can do it.
Yep.
Like,
Just the fact that you like Bravo has a lot of, I think the thing that people miss is that he runs a lot of his big power attacks, and the perception is, but Jason and I talked about before we saw that Bravo, we're like, well, if we're going into a meta with heroes with big effects, like Viserai can sometimes be a pain if he gets built up and you're going a little slow. Maybe Red Crush Confidence is good because it's a 7 power card for 3, and it was the 3
Free.
number that really stuck out.
Anymore. That card is free now. Okay, let's be honest. That card's just free.
Right. But that's what I'm saying is before we considered it because it was a 3 cost. You're trying to make a more efficient Bravo deck where you can like zealous into it to try to get them to block something up front or to cheapen, like get that cheap 4 or 5. And the new Bravo has the ability now, because those cards are so efficient, and even the low cost ones, like the 6 power ones, become really annoying because it's like, you're going to give me a card, you're going to get a crush effect, and then I'm going to do something else. So I go blue Crush Confidence for 5. If you don't block any of it, you get crushed by the effect, and then I'm going to play something else.
and we'll also just talk about the new heave mechanic, because I think
bitch. Lay away.
I think people are like underrating it, because you can do with the new Bravo, it's disgusting because you can go like, cool, end of my turn, pay 3 heave, create 3 tokens. In the midst of your turn, pitch a blue, activate what's his helm? The Earth helm, Crown of Seeds.
Oh, you can't
Put it
crown
in.
it.
You can't do that.
Oh,
It's gonna
'cause
be
it's
face
face
down.
up.
It's faced out.
I'm really glad.
Then
that's
you just
the thing.
awakening. Then you just awakening at that point.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
awakening to make more, and then half
Get
pulverized
another
Yeah,
blue
yeah,
card.
free. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I'm
it's-
really glad you can't do that. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I was gonna be like, this ability is like under the radar. Now I understand why.
yeah. I do like it though. Like I think that to me, like those are the keywords that when they add stuff like that, you have to look at because sometimes games, we've said a ton of times that we came from like DBS, and they would add keywords sometimes that would show up. You'd see them and go, man, this keyword is bad, and then they would never get support again. It was just like one set would show it because you look at the keyword, you're just like, okay, I see on face from face value, it's bad. There's no world where you can convince me it's good. But like when you look at heave, it's a really interesting mechanic that during a really heavy aggro meta, heave cards probably just stay in the binder. But if it's mid-rangey and control where you can play to a turn where you just go, man, I just heave this in because I know that I'm going to draw
There's
the right
another
cards.
way, dude. There's another way.
Am I the only one that's like, I don't play Guardian, so I could totally be off here. But I feel like if someone heaves against me, I fucking love that. Like heave, telegraph what you've got in your arsenal. Let me just run fucking rampant because you need 3 cards in hand to be able to pay for that fucker still, anyways. So like
I
you're
need to
gonna
check the
You need 3
rules.
cards. Why do you
I
need
need
3
to check.
cards?
No, you don't know. I need to check the rules because you're forgetting he can run Earth cards, so he can run Tome of Harvest.
Tome Harvest. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
so he can just play like pitch
Your
blue.
double Tome of Divinity can suck it because you're getting some harvest, bitch.
Yeah, put the card at the bottom, draw 3, and then
is Toma
three
Harvest face up too?
I don't think it cares.
Oh,
I,
this card's not
we should Google it. We should
I mean,
Google it.
yeah,
All
we
right,
just
I'll look
it's
it
easy to look up. It takes 2 seconds. As an additional
I have
cost to
it
play
pulled
Tome
up.
Harvest, put
I
a
already
card
have
from
it
your
pulled
arsenal on
up.
the bottom of your deck.
Just put a card. Yeah,
Yeah.
Amazing.
doesn't
There you
even
go.
doesn't care. It could give a
Sweet.
shit if it's up, down, or backwards.
Cool. So
So
set
you
that
can
up,
like,
draw it after you heave, because if
yeah.
I mean,
And then
have you ever played a good Bravo player though? It'll absolutely get set up. You're never
Oh,
like,
it'll
Heave is
happen.
gonna be a mechanic that's gonna absolutely wreck bad Bravo players because it's gonna be like Arsenal. Like when somebody arsenals a card and it's the wrong card to arsenal, and you spend like everybody has played a player, right? Where you're like trying to read their arsenal and you're like 8 turns deep and you're like, what in the name of God?
still
Like, what
there.
is in there? And then at the end of the game, they flip it over and you're like, oh my God, why did you arsenal that? Like, you just can't fathom why they put it there. And I think that's like, he will do that for sure. Like somebody will they will heave a card in. You're just like, oh God, no, you're going to get so punished for this. But heave is pretty good in Guardian when you got all that armor sitting there.
You could also run Break Ground. You could run Break Ground with it as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the reality is like you could also
So far
keep in
what I'm
mind
getting is like you're going to be running tomes, break grounds, these heave cards, all these lightning cards.
mean,
you're going to run all
just-
of the pulses.
I'm not
you're gonna
saying
run-
all. I was talking
I'm
about
just fucking-
the
I'm
Eve
just kidding.
mechanic. I know.
I'm just giving you shit.
I think the thing that people miss is that you could heave something in and just leave it there for a few turns because you're guarding and you can defend just fine without your arsenal a lot
and
of
now
times.
you're going to be able to make
just-
when the heave first came out, that was like it was that and tectonic plating that could make surges. It's like now
Yeah.
you're making surges on draws too. Like you're going to be making surges left. Who gives a shit?
Tome of Harvest makes 3 surges off that.
Just
Right,
three.
because the chess piece was
Yeah.
revealed when
Yeah.
this thought initially occurred. Where I
I feel
was
like-
Oh my God, that's so true. So you've just gone from 3 to 6.
Yeah.
Off the Tome of Harvest, and then you just
Right.
throw it into any attack, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to attack.
And what if you draw an awakening?
I'll
Oh,
pitch a
yeah.
blue, crippling, pay one
Yeah.
of the blue for crippling, and then pummel.
Dominated,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Too
the
crazy.
possibilities are endless, but that's kind of the thing that's going to make the deck also. We've had this discussion amongst ourselves and with random people. We've been talking about the set. Is I think it becomes that deck where for every good one you see, you're going to see 3 or 4 pretty bad,
Oh yeah.
janky,
At least to
disjointed
start with,
builds. Yeah, at the early start until somebody refines it, and even then, once you get a good baseline to build against, then the deck will have to keep changing as people. If it's too strong, people just find a way to play against it, and then it has to change again. But again, that's its strength. If you buy Bravo and you build into Bravo, the meta changes. You just change your deck. You don't change your hero.
Harry, you have added. So I'm gonna make a Jank Bravo deck, okay? And I'm super pumped for this deck. People laugh. You can laugh all you want. but I'm going to put flash in it now because it'll allow me to get ramp the time snaps out. So I'm going to do dueling fucking winter whales, a ton of ice, all the time snaps, all the blinks, and I'm just going to swing winter whale after winter
Seems
whale
so
at people's
bad.
faces. It's
Dude,
going to be
I-
the best meme deck ever.
I didn't think about the fact that you could run double Winter's Whale.
Yes.
I
Just-
tried it.
It's going to
I
be
played-
amazing with the blinks, the time snaps, and now you gave me a way to get the time snaps out and still swing. I didn't even think of flash. I can flash the time snaps out, pop the time snaps, and then winter whale, 2 frostbites, 8 damage.
Dude, if that's what
Boom.
you're doing, you just run red lead the charge as well.
Oh my god! I'm just going to keep swinging. And 3 remembrances, so I'm going to have 9 time snaps. Go F yourselves with my winter whales. Woo!
I like it because I built a dual
I am gonna build
winter
it too,
whale.
for
I built
fun.
a dual winter whale Oldham early on where I put like time snaps and just anything that could give me action points. I even tried at one point, I tried flocks. I was like flock to make a quicken because then at the turn after, and then I very quickly realized that the inconsistency in the deck is the worst part because in order to get go again, you need a lot of random red cards and yellow cards like the lead the charges and flocks and stuff, and you would just go, I make a quicken, and you draw your hand. You're like, oh, there's a red and a yellow flock in my hand. I can't even pay for my hammers now. You're like, this feels, or they're not ice, and you're just like 4 vanilla cast. And I was like, this deck was conceptually was really hilarious, and it's not hilarious anymore. It's no longer fun. I don't enjoy playing this deck. I played it twice. And then I was like, yeah, I quit. I don't want to play anymore. So outside of the Crazy Bravo, what are the cards that you look at in this set so far and you just think like that card is like, it doesn't have to be good necessarily, but the card is like a really good design or good for the game, things like that.
Let me rephrase that, Harry. What made you go from 6 to midnight?
From
There you
6
go.
to
Erection.
What-
6 to
Oh.
midnight.
I think the new Prism cards are very good. I think they're very good. I'm just
I'm
scrolling
super
through what's been revealed.
I'm fucking pumped. Non-light illusionist. I can't wait to see what auras come out. Presumably there's gonna be auras. Right?
Fractal replication is like dumb, and I love
Yeah.
it, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
What else? I like Bingo. Actually, I think Bingo's pretty cool. I think it's got a space in Briar for sure.
some of the
Fire
generics that came
breathing.
out.
Yeah, fire breathing is going to be very good. The fact that you can like pitch a
Think of
blue
it-
and you can
Fire
break
breathing will be in Meme Bravo. That will be in my Meme Bravo deck. Fire
for
breathing,
sure.
3 of.
Yeah, but the fact that you can also like block with it and then pitch a blue to make it go to 6 or 7 or whatever against prison.
Only while attacking on fire breathing.
Same thing as Exude.
Yeah. Okay.
But you can
Well, that's-
pummel it, which is fun. You can pummel it. That's fun.
Yeah. What else did I like?
I think it's interesting that they
I
made
think-
those cards actually block for 3 because that's probably the most out of ordinary thing because like they made Exude.
Majestic
But-
generics always block for 3.
Yeah.
No,
Exude.
Exude blocks for 2.
Exude blocks for
Doesn't
2.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Exude blocks for 2.
E Strike, all the other
Right,
ones. A lot of them do.
Right.
I think-
Monarch didn't. Monarch was a shit. We only block for 2 set.
I think High Strike and Ninja is going to be interesting. High
You're gonna-
Strike and Ninja
Oh,
into
Coin
like,
that term right now. High strike. Ninja.
no, well, I got to give it to Dave because that was Dave's line. High Strike and Ninja is going to be good with the one that searches for like all the 0 cost potions, and I think it's Knick Knack Bric-a-Brac.
Oh yeah. The one
Oh,
that lets
yeah.
you go and hunt.
Because then you
That is-
pop it and you get like all the potions and you just go off.
Mhm.
I love
No, what?
the
In all honesty,
art and all those. I love the
Yeah.
carnival art in
Yeah,
that whole
yeah,
generic
yeah.
set from
It's
Knick
awesome.
Knack, Bric-a-Brac down. God, that's cool. I just love what they did there. They're all
Yeah.
fun.
It's so
and
good.
Yeah, it's so good. And it disappoints me because the new wizard card that came out today, Aether Wildfire, somebody immediately said, "Oh, Mark Poole, it's amazing." The art is fucking trash on that card. I hate it. I think it's absolute trash. Like it looks like another exact. I thought it was I didn't even think it was a new card. It looked like Aether Flare or whatever it is. It looked identical. It's like, this is trash. The art is horrible. Her hand looks terrible.
Breaking Wizards' hearts everywhere.
It's like the things that you can't unsee. Like the what's the let's see opt the with like the ghost spirits, the ladies holding the thing.
Subversive Oracle.
Yeah,
Whispers
Whisper
of
the
the-
Oracle.
Whispers of the Oracle.
That art I hate because you can't unsee the fingers being all dicked up like in the hands.
People
Like,
dancing.
No, her
I
hands.
love how they
The
do
ladies.
the artist.
Oh, I guess
Speaking
now
of
I
Wizards,
gotta look at it. Now I gotta look at it. I never thought of that art. Now if you ruined it for me, I'm gonna be
Yep.
so pissed off.
I hope I did. That's what you get for giving me shit about wearing sweatpants.
speaking of Wizard, Potion of Deja Vu
That's
is
fine,
going to
there's
be
like a,
sick.
you know.
Yes, Potion of Deja Vu is
It's gonna be
He's
amazing
got
for Wizards.
man hands.
Yeah.
What? This is like a Seinfeld episode with the sausage fingers. He stopped dating the girl because of the man hands.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Hot tip: you should use that in your new Bravo deck, Chase. Because if you pitch the Frost, you just put it back on top and draw it again to double swing with Frost.
Oh my god! It's gonna be the community meme built Bravo deck, and I will bring it to. I am gonna bring it to a locals, one of the locals armories. It's gonna be and I don't even care if I get whooped. It's just gonna be a good time.
Arcane Lantern's going to be really good.
Yeah.
Really good. Bingo in a Briar deck will also be good. You just play it late. What else?
What did you say is gonna be really good? What potion?
I think Bingo will be all right in a Briar late. Because you like swing, get rid of things in their hands, and then.
What was the one before that? Though,
Wait, is it Bingo that I'm thinking of? Oh, the Arcane Lantern.
Arcane Lantern. Oh, yeah. See, that leads us to believe that there's going to be a lot of good wizard stuff that they had to give in offhand. Like, there's got to be some shit coming down the road that they're like, we probably should put a little bit more arcane barrier out in this set.
So does that mean generic one-handed weapon has to come out in this set? Because like, there's a lot of classes that can't even run that.
Yeah,
because
I mean, there's lots of classes that don't need it. So
yeah, that's true.
Well, you just use Guardian as your you always have your class that's going to gatekeep other classes. No. But the Bravo players help make the wizards not run out of control, right?
Right.
I mean, that's what they're there for. Because if you don't have Guardian, wizard will run out of control.
Yep.
I think smashing. We're going to see a lot of smashing good times.
yeah, So that card, my take on that card is still the fact that I think personally that Smashing Good Time makes a huge difference in their design space for Dash. So Dash players should actually be happy that it exists versus being distraught because they were so like handcuffed by her inevitability and the inability for people to interact with her like items that they couldn't make things that were too good because anything beyond being able to go again the pistol and buff it. Yeah. It's already too good. So if you make another thing that buffs the pistol or adds some ability, it immediately becomes problematic because no one can deal with it except Reinar. And so it's like the fact that they made Smashing Good Time actually opens up the design space where now it's like, okay, this card's not necessarily a silver bullet because it doesn't just kill the deck, because it does require it to hit to blow something up, but it existing makes people less reliant. Like Dash players don't just go, I just play whatever I want, I win everything. Like Dash has a counter if people don't play it correctly.
Here's why I don't understand why people hate that people hate this card that are Dash players. And this is from me doing a rouse into a crippling crush and only putting 2 damage on a Dash. They have so much block and D-reacts with the way they run those decks. If they don't want this to hit, it ain't going to hit, right? It's just not going to hit.
Well, and
you can't run 9 of them. You can't run 9. There's no deck space with how wide the meta is going to be. You maybe run 1 to 3 if items and all these potions and Dash go crazy. Maybe you can run 1 to 3, but there's no deck space. If you're so concerned about every other deck and what they're doing and not focus on what you need your deck to do, you just have a bad deck.
Yeah.
Or as they say in New Zealand, you just have a bad dick.
I also think even bigger than that's going to be played in a few decks. I think Bravo is definitely going to use it, potentially Rhino, but probably Bravo more than anything.
Yeah, it's
That's the one where if an attack hits, you look at the top card,
reveal a card if it's
reveal a card,
if
and
if
it's
you
more power.
yeah,
Oh my
You draw-
god, you create a quicken
makes
and
a quick
draw a
and
card.
draw. Yeah.
Guess
You
what deck
create a
this is
quick and
going
draw a
in?
card.
This is
Yeah,
going
I
in the meme deck.
You create a quicken card, draw a card, and with the new chest, you also create a surge.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cute.
But it doesn't
and
have and it's an instant. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty damn good.
And I think our friend Dash is going to have an acceptable matchup against Viserai now with.
Yeah, with that new.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah,
for it's just for 2 turns. It's the same like mechanic as Fine Center or as the
Oh, I hate Find Center. That's one of my
not Fine Center.
the Zen State token.
Zen State token. Yeah.
I hate the Zen. That's probably my least favorite thing in this world is a Zen State token. Like I just see it and I have the complete fucking opposite of Zen. I am rage.
Yeah.
Miraging Metamorph.
Ninja to be Zen.
Miraging Metamorph becomes
God, yes.
free damage for Prism now because you're never ever going to break that card.
Might as well. Like just pop it. Just pop it.
Could you imagine you pop it and then they flash in like
Yep.
Like a
Response,
Genesis, like in response, Genesis, I get another
Merciful?
Genesis, and
But
you
even just like
cry.
Mercifuls or Odes, just
Yeah, whatever.
that's-
I would say,
yeah,
like-
you get any doubling up on any of those is horrible.
Double Arclight. You pay 7, get an Arc.
Oh
get 2
my
Arclights and play it.
god, that would be yeah, and just shut them down for 2 turns in a row.
Cool, no worries.
I'm really excited to see. I want there to be like some cheaper, less good, less oppressive auras, but just like add a little more dynamic options that aren't light to Prism. I think that maybe like some 3 cost, 2 cost if they don't really do much. Like auras could open up some pretty unique designs. But I'm really curious to see what they come out with. They gotta have
The only
auras.
thing-
They have auras coming out.
The only thing about a like when you look at like the curve of auras, like 4 is kind of perfect because it demands that you either give up 2 cards or Vestige is active for 1 blue. The second that you make it 3, like that cost efficiency in the deck starts to get a little tipped because now any card in your hand almost like now all of your yellows. So between your yellows and your blue, you basically guarantee that you can always pay for the 3 cost aura because there's almost never a time where like people don't get, like most of the auras that you get played against you when they like Prism spirals is when she activates Vestige to have those big spike turns. But the fact that anytime you pop something, now the 3 cost drops for any yellow in hand, and they just go -1 in hand, +1 aura, and that gives a lot of decks so many problems because auras are so inherently powerful because they demand an action point, not go again. Unlike a lot of things that you answer. I think that's the issue is like auras should be hard to get out and they shouldn't be cost efficient in terms of like 1-for-1 cards. Like I think it should demand a blue, like personally, like minimum.
Harry, I always think of you as a Dorinthia player. So to me, no matter what you're playing, you're always a Dorinthia player to me. Okay.
I'm legitimately hoping she gets a bit more support.
So far, and just by looking at, there's not much warrior stuff getting out. I was hoping Bolton would get something that would allow him to charge a soul, so on an off turn you could still do something. In warrior, which I mean, back in the day, that was the Cadillac. Just keeps kind of falling. And I mean, now ninjas jumping back. I mean, all these other classes, brute still kind of getting shit on, but Warrior's a little disappointing right now.
Look, there's still a lot to see. It might just not be Warrior's time, that's okay. I mean, it's odd because like Bolton was such a big deal, and although there's like good Bolton builds, I feel like it can get overwhelmed by a good Briar deck. Like it'll try and do the same thing, but Briar will just do it better.
Yep.
Namely because of all the on-hit effects. And a lot of the time, if you're playing against Bolton, I mean, unless they've got a buff in hand, you just take the initial damage and go, have you got the buff? If you don't,
Yeah.
cool.
Mhm.
I'll just, you don't have go again. It's my turn. Um,
Right. And that's why equipment that allows it like a one-time charge or something that just on that off turn you
yeah.
can break it and not lose momentum. I lost in a pro quest to Mr. Berg because I had two hands straight where I couldn't attack him.
Yeah.
And it was a game. It was playing Ninja and just game over. I mean, it was
Just
nothing I could do to come back at that point. And if I just had any card like a piece of equipment that says charge your soul and I can swing Raiden and cycle my hand just a little bit at the beginning of a game to not just lose, that's all he needs. Doesn't need to be broken. Just get him over the hump a little bit.
well, you could use the helm.
Well, but it
Doesn't
doesn't say
count as
charge.
charge,
It just adds a card to
Say
soul,
charge.
unfortunately.
Have to
But
charge.
If we're talking about cycling,
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
But
right.
I mean,
cycle, yeah.
just something needs to say charge for it.
Oath of Steel looks like that they're really trying to push like the OTK builds.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's a little bit weird. I think one of the things that somebody pointed out with that card is like you read it and you're like, oh my God, that would be insane on like Bolton's Lumina. The problem is you need the Luminas to swing the volume. So you're already putting so many pieces together in one hand.
Yeah.
That's why like a lot of times you see those Saber builds will blow people out and they'll be like, oh, this deck is it's so fucking miserable to play against. But then like sometimes you play them and they just sit there and they kind of like, twiddle their thumbs while they hope to God that they can come across their Lumina or Beacon, and they don't see it fast enough and they just like, oh yeah, I guess I die. So it's like if you add another card that's like, oh well, this card could be added. It's like, but it's just a +1. So if you only single Lumina, you don't OTK now because you just can't swing enough time. It's weird. Like I don't know. It feels bad for Bolton because it's like that deck is similar to the Raiden sometimes where it feels right there. It's like right there.
I love playing Bolton. Love playing Bolton. It's one of my favorite decks to play, and just
it's fun.
It is. It's just fun. It's a good time. It's a good time.
It does strike me as funny because like there was always this belief, and I don't know, I never saw like the official thing, but people would always talk about how like Warrior and Runeblade, that battle is supposed to be like one of the
That's central. James White said that in an interview. He said
so
it's like the central battle happening.
Right.
Yeah.
But now it feels like
members of the factions.
So then what happened to Warrior along the way?
Well, the thing is like Warrior became too honest, which is hilarious. You can compare it to like the first few sets. It became too honest because double swinging with the, a first tick up sword of a Dawnblade. I mean, unless you pulled it off on what's it called? The card that gives you +2 on all your attacks and draw a card if it hits. Unless you've got like a big turn of
supremacy.
And supremacy, and then you've got like enough go against to like really make it work. That's like one turn in, and you've got to set it up right. Yeah. Whereas like the damage output that current decks like Briar and even Bolton do in comparison to Dorinthia, like she just can't keep up. She just can't do enough for it to be valid. I feel like the only way Dorinthia comes back is if there's some kind of new blade, or if they give her a more consistent way to like triple swing a turn.
They make her light.
Well, I think that's bad design because you don't want to get rid to make them good, because then like the original Dorinthia is still bad. So I think,
Bravo.
But the original is not bad.
Yeah, I
understand that, but you can make without having that double swing. I mean, I don't know. There's something there.
My thing is, I think there's a world where you can play a lot of the new Guardian cards without that. Like you can still play the original Bravo and compete really well because Pulverize still exists in Bravo. And I think that's the thing is, to Harry's point, Bravo's not actually gone. It's like they made a new one and it'll be new and shiny. But let's be honest, there's a world where you could look at it and go, on-demand dominate on all these crush effects and just big power swings is pretty good sometimes. And it could be more reliable that you can play a very controlled defensive oriented deck with the old Bravo, because what he does is plays everything 3 blocker D reacts. The new Bravo, the one big thing that I think is going to throw him compared to like the original is that you're going to start running elemental cards and instants, and all of a sudden you're going to like the original Bravo players might be like, I think I'm going to just go back. He's not going to block. He's just not going to block, man.
At Nats, I played against the great Bravo player, Matthias. He played phenomenally, and like the only reason I won was because I was able to like maintain enough aggression to get him ahead on life against him. But I can't remember how he went, but he went really well. He definitely made it to day 2 as well. Like, yeah, Bravo I think is still totally viable. It's just I don't know if there's enough to say that Dorinthia is still viable at the moment.
No, I don't think she is right now.
All right, I want to hop over.
We're at we're at an hour 10.
Yep. So Hamish, who I like to call Hamish because we're cool. We've never talked. It says anytime he sees something now, he says, "Give him the outcast treatment," and I love that. And I appreciate him coining that, because we've done that. We've gone off on things, and it's fun and exciting. So he's had requests. We try to get the requests through. So now today we have this is what's wrong with this world right now. So the world has changed a lot since I grew up in the 80s. You know, back in the 80s, I rode a bicycle. You didn't have a fucking helmet. If you were riding it, you didn't get like barraged by Karens. Oh my God, your kid should have a helmet on. No, we went and hit jumps without helmets. We bled. We got scratches. It was okay. So now we have, and as soon as you see the thumbnail this guy made, you're like, I just want to slap him in the face. If you never heard me talk, I'm not actually going to slap the guy in the face. So chill the fuck out, okay? Just relax. But he's got the fucking flat bill head up and like, yeah, I'm going to make a thumbnail. I got fire in the background, but I still wear my helmet while I go on my bicycle to get the mail, right? So he has that, and he does an open letter to all content creators and just saying, you guys are all shit. But the funny part is the video he makes is complete trash. His point of hey guys, and I'm just going to be real monotone. He goes from this flashy, huge fucking bill fire to just this monotone, pale person that is the most entitled fucking twat I have ever seen in my life. Like, honest to God, nobody gives a shit if you're happy with with our content or anybody else's content. We don't care. We don't get paid for this. We do this for fun. And then in your comments, you say, oh, I'm not going to be making content. No shit, you're not. If this was your content, it would bring the whole Fab TCG content down 14 levels from your horseshitness. So, you entitled fuck. Nobody cares that you don't like the content. Nobody cares. Turn off YouTube. It's fucking free. Go watch a goddamn soap opera.
So, he listed some criteria. And I want one of you guys to stop me when it's a criteria that he represented himself. All right. So it's supposed to be entertaining. You should be charismatic and well-spoken. It should be at least a good idea for content. Yet nothing. So he hasn't met any of his own criteria so far. Okay. Don't make a video that is a waste of time. That's just pathetic.
That's what this is. It literally is a fucking.
Yeah, the thing that kills me the most, I don't even like the sentiment. Sure. The thing that kills me the most is just the entitlement of it. The fact that he's like, this is what I like. So give me what I like. Give me, though. I want. Give me what I want. It's like,
that is why all the hookers charge him triple when they see him coming down the road, because he's just an entitled prick.
God.
Yeah. I just don't. Yeah. I don't understand ever.
Gimme. It's gimme. It's gimme.
Yeah. I mean, even beyond the gimme, I just don't understand ever making, an ask or an expectation to somebody who's doing something for free, or somebody who's like giving of their own free time. effectively in a lot of ways. Because let's be real, like most fab content creators don't make any money. And if they do make money, it's very little money. You know, like getting a check from YouTube or like a little money deposit in your account for like $3. It's like, okay, cool. My coffee editing this weekend will be on my on the hours and hours and hours of YouTube content I've created. Like asking for that is like asking someone to take you to the airport, and when they pick you up, like before they pick you up, texting them and be like, hey, could you stop and get me a coffee on your way over?
Who would do that? 100% he would do that.
He would do
Oh,
that.
yeah.
He would.
Yes.
I just don't get that part of it. Like that definitely is obnoxious to me. So I don't know. My only gripe this week was the fake spoiler makers.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't
So
see that.
shitty.
I didn't see that.
Those are my real. That's my real Facebook gripe.
Not even a gripe.
is-
Thank you for making such shit versions.
yeah,
so we know
I
they're
just-
fake. That's perfect.
I
Except for
don't-
Bergie.
I
Bergie
don't-
thinks they're
yeah,
real, but
well,
like
he's
you can tell
yeah.
the text and stuff.
Yeah, I just don't understand who's like sitting at home doing that. Like, I don't know why you're sitting on the couch, like, especially during spoiler season. I don't like it anyway. Like, it annoys me when people are like, check out my sweet card I made. And it's like, go start your own game. You can just make your own card game. You don't have to make fake fab cards. Because, like, when is this card, like, when is the time you invested in this ever going to, like, divvy back to you? Like, do you think James White is like scrolling through? Oh my God, this card's brilliant. Sign him up, hire him. Let's fly him to New Zealand, pay for his living expense. It's like, no. That's not going to happen. I don't.
I will say to the that this
card.
my disagreement with you a little bit, Blake, actually serves to make a point against that fucker that I don't know his name that made the content creator open letter to. Is people just like it. If you enjoy it and you just, that's like part of the hobby to you, is like having a fun time, like making shit up, do that because you're allowed to enjoy this how you want. So I don't want us to be hypocritical saying like, don't do this because blah, blah, blah. But also this guy told us to do stuff different. So blah, blah, like we're angry about that, but we're also telling you don't do this. So I don't want to be a hypocrite.
Well, I just get like the constant barrage of posting on the fan page and covering up like there was a time when there was actually good conversations on the fan page and better discussion. And
Pepperidge
now
Farm remembers.
I think on the note of like creating your own cards, I think I kind of agree with Dane. I mean, as long as you're having fun, I think the gripe that I have is don't put it off as if it's a real
Right.
spoiler.
Yeah.
Like that's I think
That's
otherwise like as an expression of like fandom and creating interesting design space, I think it's good. Insofar as like the whole content thing, I think we've got to remember that like this card game's still relatively young. There's still a lot to figure out as to what is valuable content, what isn't, and I think it's also like greatly affected by. I mean, COVID was a big thing, and I also think it's greatly affected by like YouTube culture at the moment, especially with the mentality of like getting views. Personally, I'm like anyone who wants to make content, that's awesome, like incredible. The fact that you're like doing it for free and bringing out something that people can like watch and get into the fandom through that is freaking awesome. I don't really care what it is, as long as you're not claiming to be something you're not. Firstly, and
Who does that?
well, I don't know. I'm not gonna.
that's for a different discussion for a different day.
Yeah, look,
Sorry,
but
Harry.
I think your content is great. I enjoy listening to it every week, and I think you guys talk about some really great stuff as to consider. What the part of the future meta is, what's coming in, all that kind of stuff. So on my end, please continue doing this.
Thank you, Harry. We
Thank you,
appreciate
Harry.
it. When I was going off,
you have to say that because you're on it, but like we still
You can send me the cash later.
yeah.
When I was
making.
When I was going off doing the outcast treatment, I thought Harry was like, maybe I shouldn't have come on this week. Maybe I should have done this next week. And obviously, for people still listening, we have fun. This is what I
Yeah.
do. But that was just he asked for it, and I mean,
Yeah.
and
I just
Hamish
don't.
requested
Yeah.
it. And it's rude to not do that when he requested it.
Yeah. I just wish people would have, I think sometimes like the understanding, especially in the content creator space, how many people do it literally of their own free time. Like
And
just
it's hard,
like
man.
it's hard. Yeah. It's a lot of work. You have a lot of people who start it and get into it, will do it for a while and then kind of like there are people who make content that I legitimately will go check. I'm like, am I not getting notifications or something? Is it not dinging? Did I
Mhm.
somehow get unsubscribed because I miss their content? And then, they'll come
They're
back
just not
after a while and be like,
putting
hey,
it
I've
out,
been
yeah.
super busy. Life came up. And that's the reality of it is a lot of people, they make content and at some point in life, it's like your job got busy. You had family stuff come up. You have kids. You're working extra hours, whatever. It's like all of those things obviously take precedence over it. And then to have somebody act like, oh, it's not good enough, or oh, you should reconsider things you do and try to get better. It's just like, I mean, that's why people quit doing it. Like that's why people who genuinely like doing it quit doing it because they go, maybe I'm not making good content and people don't want to watch my stuff. And you get down about yourself. Like there are times we've made content and there's sometimes you like watch a video and you like see the views and you're just like, man, that one sucked. Like,
Yeah.
I guess take a note, don't make that again. But the reality for us is that like we're very thick-skinned people and we don't particularly care a lot of times. It's like, you didn't like it, whatever, let's move on. Like we've made some real stinkers, but we don't we just move on from it. But there are also
Regularly.
people, but there are also people who take that to heart. Like they made something that they really cared about and they were really proud of, and they got 11 views. And they were like, I'm gonna keep doing it because I'll get more views eventually. And this guy's, it's like, you suck because it's not good enough. That's why you're not getting views. It's like, I guess I'll quit then. It's like, oh, come on, man. Like you crush some poor guy who's just of his own free time trying to make good content, and people just, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Dane, it's been a good one today. A
Yep.
great one.
Yep.
Why don't you take us home, sweet daddy? Take us
Yeah,
home.
I can do that. Everybody, thank you for joining us for yet another week. Harry, fucking awesome having
Thank
you
you.
on. Congrats
so
on the
much.
finish. You
Thank
fucking
you.
crushed it. I've never been more proud of one of my friends.
Oh, thanks,
So-
mate.
Can't wait to come to Australia and meet you in person.
Oh, no. We're going to be coming up to you for the world champs, buddy.
Oh,
Yes.
it's here, yeah.
Yeah. Be sure to like and subscribe. You get notifications when we put out our videos, which we've got gameplay coming out. We've got I think we're gonna start doing like public service announcements and shit because there seems to be some whack stuff, as the youths say, whack stuff happening in the community. So we'll be on top of that. And thanks for joining us. If you're listening this far in, power to you. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Thanks, guys.